Hello and welcome to Cave the Cross Apologetics. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Tony.
And welcome to book number 11. If
Wow.
you haven't been with us before, what we do is we take a book and we read along with you and invite you along. And then you can kind of read at your leisure and follow along with us. You can listen to us and think you know what you're talking about at the end of it, and hopefully learn more about some version of apologetics or theology. And so we talked a little bit about this type of book before in pretty much, I think, since book one, because I keep making mentions to Zondervan's Counterpoint series. But instead of doing the one that I keep mentioning, we're going to turn to InterVarsity Press IVP's version of that, which is they call it the Spectrum Multiview book series. And so what the series
That
does
sounds
is
real scientific, doesn't it? Like multi-universe or something.
that's right. That just means you get to charge hundreds of dollars for the book and sell it to universities. So what this book series does is it takes a topic and has an editor and kind of gives an introduction, defines all the terms, and then it allows for people to hold various views within that topic to write a kind of a paper establishing what they believe is the best explanation to the problem or to the question. And then the other, however many people, usually it's about 4 or 5, I've seen less sometimes, but that's rare. And then they write a response paper to that initial response. Now with Zondervan series, the main argumenter gets a final kind of say over their topic before moving on to the next person who does the same thing. But I don't believe that happens in the Spectrum's multi-view book. So it's really interesting because with the modern debate era, it's nice. We see a lot of interactions. The cross-examinations are always the best parts of any debate. But you kind of get that here without the razzmatazz of, oh, that person was a good communicator. Now there's still aspects of that in how well a person writes. But I've talked to Dr. Tim McGrew from Western Michigan University before, and he honestly says that he believes that most debates should happen in paper form like this. And so where you're just kind of sticking to the ideas and how well the subject matter is communicated to you is wholly on just the words on the page, and then how much effort you put into it, and then having those kind of counterpoint areas come in afterwards is a really neat aspect. So what we're doing is we're kind of slightly shifting away, but still moving within the area of apologetics. And so one of the kind of the 3 areas that presuppositionalists like us focus on is ethics, the right and the wrongs of the world. And so is there a kind of an overarching philosophy of ethics? And so there's actually 4 different types of ethics. There's probably way more, and you could probably even split those up into different areas. But there are kind of 4 main type of ethical frameworks: virtue ethics, command ethics, natural law ethics, and prophetic ethics. And so all those are being covered here in the book. And so hopefully you'll come away at least understanding what the argumentations are for each of them, what are some of the pros and cons that we kind of looked at with our last book, Faith Has Its Reasons, that offered those kind of, here are the positives, here are the negatives. Now, it's not so as laid out because an editor was, 2 editors were doing the work for us. But here we have to do the work for us and see what are the pros and cons to each of these. So that's what we'll be covering. And so the editor for this series is Steve Wilkins, and he's the one that kind of comes in with what these books do is they come in and they kind of set the terms, so that way the argumenters, the people making the argument for it, don't have to do that work. And so initial chapter here for the introduction is kind of laid out so that that we understand the terms, we kind of understand a little bit of the historical context, and seeing where, if any, these ethical frameworks have come about, and what are these terms that we're referring to? Virtue ethics? Well, that sounds like you're just saying ethics twice, right? That's what it sounds like to me. And so you don't have to pick your person yet. Hear the argumentations. If these are all new terms to you, great. And so we'd like to hear from anybody on any side of the spectrums to comment. And so feel free to find your favorite avenue to communicate that with us. And so it'd be interesting to see. And so,
and I just, in terms of the kinds of ethics, the four ethics here are the four that he has chosen to deal with here. Mm-hmm. You're right. There are lots of different kinds of ethics. And he'll explain here during this introduction why they've kind of landed on these particular ethics. And what we really mean here when he's talking about ethical systems is really ethical theories. An ethical theory it's kind of like to help us determine how to help us to figure out what is the morally right thing to do in any given situation. One of the basic principles that allow us to make the morally right choice. And so he, in his, in this particular series, they said there are four of these that we want to consider. And he's going to talk about these. It's interesting here, and we'll see this in just a second. He leaves out consequentialism as a type of ethics, and basically he says because most Christians don't agree with that. And so we'll see that as we go. But,
yeah. And so that's a key one, is Christian ethics is the one being discussed here. So we'll get into that and define our terms, which is something that we wholeheartedly approve of on the show, because we need to make sure that we're not talking past each other, and that there's a generally agreed upon principle of language that we're talking about. And so we always want to put the, even if it's a side that we don't agree with, we want to put the best forth effort to fairly attune ourselves to what's being said, so that way, even if we are critiquing, we're critiquing in the best light possible.